Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. I'm Joe. This is my little channel, Random Computes. This is Stamps. Today I decided I want to build a computer. It's been a while since I built one, and damn it, I want to build one. So let's gather up some parts and let's get a computer going. Alright, so for parts that I already know I'm going to be using is this case and this power supply that I picked up off of Cyberbunk last year. They've just been sitting around. You kind of see how long the case has been sitting here in the garage. And yeah, power supply, I bought it just wanting to try it out and kind of guess by the quality of the packing how good that power supply is going to be, but yeah, we'll try it out and see if anything explodes. So go to my nasty ass garage and see what else we can find. Alright, so here's the parts for our build. We got a 128 gigabyte SSD. Even the cheapest of the cheapest budgets here get an SSD. We got a 1 terabyte Western Digital Gold to store our games. We're definitely going to need that. Probably going to do a voiceover on this because it's probably pretty loud up there. Alright, so planned on using this Thermaltake decent tower cooler here. It's too tall to fit in our cheap ass case, so we're going to be overheating with this. This isn't even the good Intel stock cooler. I guess I should say the good Intel stock cooler. This is the one that's half size here, so it's going to be bad. It's a bad choice. I'm going to have to order another one. Alright, graphics card, 2 gigabyte GT 1030. What I had laying around, and it kind of fits our power budget here. We got a coolmax 500 watt. The one that I had laying out here earlier, once I opened it, it already smelled burnt and it wasn't even plugged in yet. So, I'm not going to be using that. Motherboard, we got a ASRock P55 Extreme 4. It has an i7 8800 in it. That is a quad-core, 8-threaded processor. Let's get on with this build.
Well, while the moron in the background struggles to put together a simple PC, I'll try to break down some of the parts that I used. First off is the processor. It is an i7 880. Based on the Lindenfeld architecture, it was released in mid-2010, making it over 11 years old at the time of filming this. With a launch price of $583 and much to my surprise, it's still selling for over $100 on eBay right now, making it the most expensive 1156 socket CPU that I can find. Based on the 45nm manufacturing process, it has 4 cores, 8 threads, and it has 8 megabytes of Intel Smart Cache. It has a base frequency of 3.06 GHz and a boost of 3.73 and a TDP of 95 watts. You'll want to use a better CPU cooler than the one that I used here, especially if you plan on overclocking. Alright, moving on to our graphics card, we have a GT 1030. It was never meant to be a gaming card, more like a display adapter, but that never stopped people on a tight budget. Released in May 2017 and the price of $95 to $120 depending on what vendor and model you found. And thanks to the mining apocalypse, they can still be found for that much on the used market. With DirectX 12 support and NVIDIA GPU Boost 3.0, it still has many of the modern features that the latest and greatest releases need, but it is lacking in horsepower. And not to mention it only has 2 gigabytes of VRAM. But hell, at least mine has the GDDR5 kind. There was some shady releases that came with DDR4, and those were about 50% slower. And there's a special place in hell for the person who decided to market that abomination with the same name just to trick consumers into buying that piece of hot garbage. Anyways, back to our specs. The 1030 has 384 CUDA cores and a base clock of 1290 MHz, but it will boost up to 1544 MHz. I have mine overclocked to 1844 MHz, and I was able to overclock my memory to 4004 MHz, up from 3004. Whoa, back that up for a second. Okay. Alright, I'm not sponsored by Monster in any way, but if there's any representatives watching this, I might consider negotiating terms with you. When doing a build, I always try to give an idea of the prices. It's a little rough on this one since I purchased all these parts at least a year ago, if not more, but I'll give a rough guesstimate. The motherboard, CPU, and the RAM were in a build that I paid $40 for, which that was at least 2 years ago. They've just been sitting on the shelf waiting for me to do something with them. The GPU, I picked up 2 of those for $30 a piece from the same guy about a year ago. The power supply, I don't remember. I looked it up on eBay. They're going for about $19 used right now, so I'm just going to roll with that. The case was $22 from Newegg on Cyber Monday. The SSD was $8, and I think I paid $10 for the hard drive. So overall, we're around $130, which is not too bad considering just the CPU and the GPU alone right now will cost you over $200. Well, my phone died right before I started doing the cable management. I think the build's gone on long enough, so you guys just want to get to the benchmarks, so here we go. Alright, starting off for test, we got Cinebench R20. I sped up the video by 20x because I don't think you guys want to see this in real time, but we managed to beat out a 3rd gen i5 with a score of 1062, sorry. So overall, not too bad. Alright, so the first game up, we got Borderlands 3, 1920 by 1200, very low settings, and we're getting an average frames per second of 34, 35, somewhere around there. Overall, it's an alright experience. It's not the best, but it's enjoyable. Next game up is Crash Bandicoot Trilogy. I don't see this one benchmarked very much. It's not in very many videos, but I like the game and I like the way it looks, so I'll go ahead and add it to mine, just to be a little bit different, I guess. Alright, so we're 1920 by 1200 again, and we got an average frames per second of 46. This game is perfectly playable with those frames per second, so yeah, definitely one to try out if you got a system like this. And so for the most demanding game that I tried, we have Cyberbunk 2077. It is running in a resolution of 1024 by 768, and we have 50% scale, so half of that. Overall, this is not a great experience. It kind of looks like you're playing a game looking through the bottom of a toilet. That's the way it plays too, so yeah, if you're running a system like this, you're going to want to avoid this game. Alright, so Diablo II was just remastered and thought I'd include it in the video here. We're running again 1920 by 1200. This is low settings, getting an average frame per second of 32, 33, somewhere around there. It's an okay experience as long as you're not trying to do stuff too fast. You can play it on this. Right here I'm testing out the old school graphics. It definitely gives you a solid 60 when you do that, but that's if you want to play it that way. Alright, next up we got Doom 2016. I tried Vulkan mode, and Vulkan actually ran way worse, so this is just the OpenGL version. getting an average frames per second of 39. The input lag isn't too bad on this one. It's set up the way we are right now, so it's okay. You can play it like this. I think my overclock's slightly too high for this one though. You can see the green flashes every once in a while, so I might have to back it down for this game. And for the game everybody hates, we got Duke Nukem Forever. We're in a 1024 by 1200 ultra settings and getting an average of 88 frames per second. Our 1 and 0.1% lows are pretty damn low. Didn't really feel that playing the game, but they're there, so yeah, something's going on with that. But like I said, I didn't feel it, so I can play it like this. Alright, Fallout 4. We ran, again, 1920 by 1200. On the lowest settings, we averaged 53 frames per second. I've played through this part of the game so many times benchmarking, I just didn't want to go through the whole vault and get back to a major city again. But you can expect 40 frames per second in the bigger cities. It's doable for Fallout 4. It's not really a high-paced, very fast first-person shooter, so it's playable. Far Cry New Dawn, we ran 1280 by 800, very low settings. We're getting an average of 48 frames per second. They're in some intense firefights, so you get a little bit of stutters, but it's playable. I mean, if this is what you got, it's what you got. But you can play on this one. Grand Theft Auto 5 ran again 1920 by 1200, low settings, getting an average frames per second in the 90s. So overall, yeah, definitely playable. Grand Theft Auto 5 runs great on just about anything anymore, though. It's kind of sad to say, but it's getting pretty old. Alright, so this is Halo Master Chief. I believe it's Halo 4. It's in the enhanced graphics mode. Again, 1920 by 1200, high settings. Yeah, it's great. Plays great on this system. You're getting over 95 frames per second average. It's at 98 right there. It's very playable in this setup. Hell, great game to kill some time if you haven't tried it out. Obviously, I'm not very good at it, but yeah. Alright, next up is Project Cars 2. This is running 1920 by 1200 again, and we're on the medium settings, and we're averaging 43 frames per second. Alright, Teardown is one of the newer games that I tested out here. It's more GPU dependent than anything else. So just really stressing out our 1030 as much as I can, and yeah, as expected, it's not doing all that great. We're getting 23 frames per second. Not a good experience on this system. So if you're like me and was expecting to see the CPU melt due to that cheap ass Intel cooler, well, a little bit of a surprise seeing that it only hit, I think we hit 80 Celsius during Cyberpunk, and that was just mainly because of the GPU wasn't allowing it to stretch its legs. It was just barely being utilized. The turbo boost never engaged. It was mainly just due to lack of utilization, and then I think it could have been used during Cyberpunk, but it was already too hot, so it wasn't going to turbo boost anyways. And during Cyberpunk, that was definitely the loudest part of that system was that CPU fan. You can hear it over just about anything. Even my server above me, I can hear it over that, so it was pretty damn loud. Alright guys, I'm going to end this one here. I was planning on selling this system right after making this video, but after seeing how well the 880 handled itself, I kind of want to see it paired with an overkill GPU and a hefty overclock just to see it really stretch its legs. If that's something you fellas would like to see, let me know. Might even make the video just out of my own curiosity, so we'll see. If you liked the video, hit the like. If you hated it, that's cool, you know what button to hit. And if this is kind of stuff, if you like this kind of stuff and not already subscribed, consider doing so. There'll be a video to the left, to the right, and you guys might find it interesting. Alright guys, I'm out. Have fun.